only bed and breakfast in Biskopskulla, Illinois, so Clara, as a result, hadn't seen her grandmother in years. Clara tried not to think about how much she was going to miss California, but she couldn't blame her mother for moving back to Illinois, even though they'd already moved just 1 year ago, from one part of Orange County to another. They'd inherited this house and all of its contents, the parcel of land on which it stood, and a small amount of life insurance money, enough to pay the property taxes for a year or two. There was still no way they could afford real estate in the expensive Southern California market, but they were now homeowners in tiny Biskopskulla, a town that boasted all of 140 residents. Biskopskulla. Even the town's name sounded unpleasant. But it was home now, and Clara was determined to make the best of things, even though the last move hadn't been easy. The last time she started at a new school, she didn't even talk to anyone for the first 2 months, and when she felt ready to barely acknowledge her new classmates, they already had plenty of practice ignoring her. For the entire year, her mom kept encouraging her to make a fresh start, but Clara just withdrew and grew more miserable. She was determined not to let that happen again in Biskopskulla. This was a new home, even if it didn't feel like it yet. Much of the house had an intricate museum quality, with ornate light fixtures and imposing door frames, but the basement was just a huge one-room storage space crammed with years' worth of stuff. Thus, all of Sunday was devoted to cleaning out the basement and turning it into a rec room. Clara wanted to keep herself as busy as possible. It was the only way she could think of to stave off the terror of tomorrow, when she would start, yet again, at a new school where she wouldn't know a single person. At the bottom of the stairs, she picked up an old hobby horse. Leg broken beyond repair? Into the trash box. An ancient sewing machine? Best to assume a collector might want it. Into the sell box. A pair of orange bowling shoes? Clearly items to donate. As she organized, another pile developed of things Clara wanted to keep for herself. A pincushion shaped like a tomato, a quill pen, and a snow globe with a tiny Victorian street scene. Once the basement's concrete floor was cleared, she swept it and then swept again. If I'm going to do this, I might as well do it right, she thought, and filled a bucket with hot, soapy water. She took a sponge from under the kitchen sink and carefully scrubbed from one corner of the floor to another. Along the center of one wall, she discovered, was a rectangular patch of brick inlaid within the concrete flooring. The grooves between the bricks were filthy, and Clara scrubbed so hard that her elbow caught the water bucket and knocked it over. "Oh no!" Clara exclaimed, grabbing a towel to mop up the mess. Then she noticed something curious. Bubbles were emerging along a crack in the base of the wall, right where the water pooled. As she attempted to soak up the water, wondering what these bubbles might mean, a portion of mortar from the wall started to crumble under her towel. Curious, she pulled away the mortar to reveal a dark, arched hole. A recess for a fireplace that had been closed in, she realized. Of course, that explained the brick flooring right in front of it. Peering inside the hole in the wall, there was just enough light to see something on the floor of the fireplace, where logs might once have been. Clara reached in to pull out a small wooden box, thick with dust. She blew off the dust and tried to figure out how to open it. An hour later, she was still trying. Clara sighed. The box was impenetrable. Rectangular in shape, it appeared to have moving pieces cut into the sides. When she pressed on a recessed panel, it would give ever so slightly. But she couldn't find a hinge or a keyhole or anything else to suggest